Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we are doing another brand new archetype tier list. It's been a couple months since I've updated this. The last time I think we looked at this was the end of 2021, looking at everything that really came out in 2021 as a whole. And today we are looking at the beginning of 2022. I guess the one thing that is important to note here is that the Grand Creator set did get pushed with product delays from 2021 into 2022. So I'm going to include them here just because technically almost anybody who watches this channel is probably a TCG format player. And so because of that, we'll include them on this list because technically they did come out in 2022 for us. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into this thing. There's a lot of cool stuff. We've gotten a bunch of archetypes revealed since the last time we looked at this list. And there's even some other things that we know we're going to get sooner than later that we can add to the list in a couple months time and really shake things up with the list. So we've got 10 things to go through here today. Let's start off here with the random order that it gave us. Let's start with Scarecrow. Scarecrow is pretty cool. They have a bunch of really decent extenders that all say if you control Scarecrow, they can just jump out of the hand. And their normal summon guy is like really good. He's like, he extends himself onto the field, he searches, and I think he says if you, doesn't he say like if you have 3 or more defense position monsters when he's searching, he can also draw a card. So even as like the engage bonus of just like a free draw as well. And a cool Link 3. That being said, the deck feels very, very incomplete. So I'm kind of down here on low B tier / high C tier. I do think the potential is there. They are mostly beast type, so like they do have some like Tri-Brigade potential synergy. So I'm gonna put them in B tier because we all know how crazy Tri-Brigade is. The one thing I will say though is that the monster's extension effects do need exactly Scarecrow monsters on field. So maybe if they get a Link 2, right? And maybe Tri-Brigade helps you get out the Link 2 really easily to allow the other Scarecrows to be unbricked from hand. We could actually be looking at something really cool. But the potential is there. Link 3 is really strong. They're all extenders. The main guy is really strong, and there's a couple of decent spells and traps for them as well. Decent start, but not amazing. Next up here we have Valiants. Pendulum archetypes are always so hard to judge, just because like so many pendulum decks, like the best pendulum decks ever, just end up being like giant pile, like these are the best pendulum cards from here, these are the best pendulum cards from here. Although I do like the archetype, right? It's a pendulum mechanic that has a lot of really good extension that gets you bodies on field before you have to commit to your pendulum summon, which is insanely strong. I think they're definitely better than Scarecrow for me, but are they A tier for me? Oh, man, they're probably close. You know what? I'm going to put them in A tier. I'm going to make the jump. Just because it's pendulum, right? And the fact that like even if you only just end up playing like a couple of these cards, just because they're extenders that get you bodies on field before pendulum summoning is so huge. Being able to make a Link 2, Link 3, maybe even a Lapalooza before you have to pendulum summon is just so huge. It really is, and this archetype really helps you do that. I don't think it's perfect. It definitely feels like the archetype's missing some things, and we will get one final card revealed. So that's one other thing to mention here is that the Mr. Rune and the Valiants do have one more card to be revealed. And when we get those, we'll take a look. But for now, we're just rocking with A tier, and we'll see. Maybe they'll jump to S tier if the one card to be revealed is like absolutely bananas. Then we have Mr. Rune. This is a really interesting one as well. Kind of hard to rank because it is just kind of a generic engine, more so than a pure deck. People are already speculating maybe playing a mill version, like just a hard mill deck, and then you play this as an engine, which is kind of scary, kind of terrifying, I'm not going to lie. But other than that, people are theorizing potentially dropping it in Strikers, potentially dropping it in Magical Musketeers as a really good like couple of quick activatable spells that even have the ability to be activated from hand on the opponent's turn to trigger your Musketeers, which is really good. But because it's an engine, it makes it really tough. I'm going to put it in high B tier. I think it's better than Scarecrow right now, but I do think the fact that like every single card in the archetype locks you out of your next battle phase is really, really tough. It means even if you want to play this in a deck, you can stop your opponent, but you're not going to kill him. You're going to keep giving, and then your opponent can kind of play it slow and be like, okay, if I can just slowly and then eventually find my way back into the duel. you do kind of open up that possibility because it locks you out of your battle phase. So I'm going to put it in high B tier. Don't want to go too much higher than that, but obviously we have one more card as well for this archetype. That could change things, and maybe I just need to see more of it, but I've seen people too scared to even try to splash this. Their cards definitely seem strong. I just need to see a little more before I can fully believe that this archetype isn't too hindering when it pretty much locks you out of ending the game for the foreseeable future once you use it. So next up we have Labyrinth. I'm going to go ahead and put Labyrinth in S tier for right now because they've got a hellacious mommy on the only artwork we've seen so far. We have no cards revealed for this. Keep in mind, this deck build pack, Tactical Masters, is coming out in like, what, a month? Less than a month for the OCG, I think. And so they're right around the corner. We'll get this revealed in a week or two and we'll be able to like actually judge it. But for now, S tier, just based on what we know. Mommy. Which brings us to our Grand Creator stuff. We probably should have started with these just because we already know. Punk, I'm going to put them in low B tier. Listen, I know the pure deck is not that great, but it's interesting. But you have to take into account that as a generic engine, we've been seeing the Punk mini engine splashed in stuff like the, oh my gosh, what are they called? They're worms. They're worms and psychics. What are they called? And you just play E-Tele to cheat these out and get like a free rank 3. Oh my god, why can I not think of them? I can literally picture like every card art. Lulu and Gigi. I just like cannot think. Virtual World, Jesus, oh man. Also, in the new pile deck, that's all based around putting 3s on the field with like 7s, as well as just making Halqifibrax and then just running away with like a crazy combo. People have also been messing around with them as a generic engine. It is what it is. If E-Tele wasn't at 3, this wouldn't be as interesting, but it is. But I'm going to leave them at low B tier just because of as a pure deck. I think Scarecrow is even going to be better than them. So yeah, or they're going to be close at least. Maybe we can put them ahead of Scarecrow just because Scarecrow doesn't seem generically splashable. I think that's fair. Next up, Exorcister. I'm going to put Exorcister in C tier. It just feels like the deck isn't able to do enough, and it's so built around stopping graveyard movement decks that if you don't play a graveyard moving deck, you're just like playing the worst control deck of all time. Like that's really what it is. So hopefully they get some stuff that allows them to kind of function a little more freely. I wish some of their main deck monsters had been better extenders, even if your opponent's not moving stuff, to let them like tag out into the Exceeds, but I don't know, it kind of like needs your opponent to play into it to really be a fully functional, like decent strategy. It does have some cool cards. The main Exceed monster, the trap card, the search spell. There are definitely some cool cards, but I don't think they're overall strong enough just yet. I need to see more from them. I'm sure we'll get more support after that, just that one rank 8 that we got, and we'll have to see where they go. And the last one is Adventure Token. I'm going to put them in S tier, or the Adventure archetype, Brave archetype, whatever you want to call them. I don't think anybody's going to argue with me at this point. I think before you could have maybe put them in A, but we can just say they're S now. Like the meta right now is like defined by this engine. Like half the decks in tier 1 are playing this, and your deck needs to be built around stopping it. So maybe, I don't know, like I just think it's broken. Like when you're generic like that, like maybe if it was an archetype that's all like that's just really popular in tier 1, it would be A tier. But because it's just a splashable engine and it's just all over like multiple decks in the metagame, that's why it's S tier for me. So yeah, I feel free to move it down to A, but I don't think anybody can move it under A at all. Next we have Dynamorphia. I actually am a big fan of Dynamorphia, especially with the 2 new cards that are going to come out in Dimension Force in a couple of months. So I'm going to include those as a factor here. They get a legit awesome win condition in the Rex term, as well as the new trap that can fusion summon by like sending a fusion material from your extra deck, I believe. So that's huge because Rex term needs a fusion to make him anyway, so you don't have to worry about getting a fusion out first because you can just send it straight from extra, and then he is just like a straight up like almost like Buster Blader fusion-esque like skill drain kind of boss monster. He's insane. He can quick effect lower your opponent's stats so that 1, they're negated, and also 2, super easy to walk over, and because of him also, it's going to make the deck way easier to just like kill your opponent. And that's what I like about this deck, is that it's very control-y, very trap heavy, but very quickly it can set up like kills. Like you just have Kentragina that's just like 3,500, maybe even almost 4,000, like right there. You have a Rexsturm who's like 3,000, and then and then all you need is like 1 or 2 more bodies on field, and sometimes even just any of the main deck monsters. Still want to see at least 1 or 2 more main deck monsters for the deck, but I still really like it. I still think it seems really strong. I think it's going to be one of the good rogue trap decks for future formats that you should probably be aware of. They float a lot. They get a lot of value, a lot of power out of just like 1 or 2 traps resolving. Definitely need to be aware of this deck for sure. Libromancer. Libromancer is going to be C tier for me. I'm honestly going to put it under Exorcister just because they have like no cards. Now, I could project my potential thoughts for the future, but it's like, it's so hard to say, right? This is definitely one of those TCG exclusive archetypes where we get the first wave, 6 or 7 cards, right? We just got that in Battle of Chaos, and then probably in Dimension Force we'll probably get another 6 or 7 cards. We saw it with Beat Trooper, we saw it with Plunder Patrol, right? We've been seeing it. Warrock got the same treatment. We just got to see it. They have a couple of interesting cards. The field spell is a searching field spell, that's always good. The main boy is pretty good. The trap card's not bad. The boss monster gets you a free trap, but it just feels like right now all the deck does is just go summon the 1 good ritual and set a trap and pass. Just get 1 interruption, and you can't do it off of 1 card. I believe you need at least 2 cards in hand to do it. And so I need to see a little more. I need them to show the potential to put up more stuff. And maybe it needs to be combined with Drytron. Maybe it needs to see some other stuff. But until we see that, I'm going to put it in low C tier for what it is. I think right now it's worse than Exorcister, but obviously 6 or 7 cards can make any archetype jump immensely. So we'll see. And the last one here is Therians. I think Therian is probably high A tier. I think the potential for the start of this archetype is like insane. The fact that it doesn't use a normal summon opens the deck up to so many things. People have already talked about Invoked. People have been sort of messing around with like Predaplant variants being the best variant so far at just setting it up, because you can be able to get the plant one out of hand. It's an insanely cool engine that also ends up being a little bit splashable. And by a little bit splashable, I mean like any decent machine archetype can take advantage of it to get a free Omni Negate. Any plant archetype can take advantage of it to just get an extender or potentially into an Omni Negate as well. I think that's really good. I honestly think this archetype has a ton of potential. I'm actually really excited to see what gets revealed for Power of Elements, because they should have 1 or 2 cards maybe come out there. And like I said, no normal summon, a searching field spell. All they need is like a good normal summon that like makes the engine online, because that's what the deck has. A million awesome extenders, not a ton of starters. So that's what the deck needs. It's a good starter, maybe 2, and we'll be in there. But they seem really good so far. I think they're already really good. We're going to see Regulus splashed in a bunch of machine decks, and that means they're good. It just does. So there you go. There is my tier list right now for the 10 archetypes we've gotten in 2022 so far. Keep in mind, a couple of these are subject for support. We have nothing revealed for Labyrinth so far. All we know is that it's a trap-based deck. We have 1 card each to be revealed for Mr. Rune and Valiant, as well as the fact that we're probably going to get a couple more Scarecrow cards, couple more Therian cards, and we've got stuff like Power of the Elements just got its first cards revealed. We have no archetypes from that set yet, so we are set to get 1 or 2 new archetypes in the next couple months in those reveals. We got plenty of stuff to come, but very excited. Very, very good stuff so far. I like that this is like mainly B tier and up. Not a ton of stuff in the Warrock level of tiering, which is good to see. Hopefully they keep it up. I'm pretty satisfied with where all the new archetypes have been so far this year. But that's going to do it for me today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. As always, let me know your thoughts on the rankings here. Is there anything you agree with, disagree with? Why not? You know, let me know. But I'm going to get the hell out of here. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Subscribe if you have not yet, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace. Whoa, that's not the off button.